People are drawn by the lawless nature of this place.
She said, do you know what happened to Stefano? He's been killed. I just couldn't believe it.
It's been 8 years. RCMP isn't doing anything.
Do you think it's possible that the person who murdered your father is on that island this morning?
For me, Cortes Island was a magical place. I spent my summers here. I have beautiful memories about Cortes Island.
But you don't want to sleep on the island?
No.
Why not?
I'm not ready. Something has happened and everything has changed. We have to finish the job.
Cristiano Savioli has waited almost a decade for this moment, to return to Cortes Island and try to find out who murdered his father.
It's strange. I'm the son of a guy who has been murdered, and I don't know even how he died.
To this day?
Yeah. It's time to move. I don't have nothing to lose.
He's traveled from his home in Italy to this remote island in British Columbia to bring the memory of his father's death back to life.
RCMP continued to secure the property where a 60-year-old man was found dead on Friday morning. Police are treating the death as suspicious.
The wealthy artist Stefanos Savioli was found dead in his isolated clifftop home Friday, reportedly by his teenage son.
I heard that he'd been bludgeoned with a hammer.
A local artist lived in a home where the body was discovered, and they believe
there was two people there on the property
has the story.
when it happened.
What happened to one of this island's most beloved and colorful residents?
You're listening to CKTZ, Cortes Community Radio, at 89.5 FM, and on the web.
So does this look the same? The island?
Yeah, always the same.
Really?
Yeah.
Nothing much changes here?
No.
As a boy, Cristiano spent his summers with his father on Cortes Island. The house we're going to now was your father's first house?
Yeah.
Oh.
When he moved here in the 80s, for a while he lived in a boat house, then he bought a real house.
And was this the house that you would have stayed in, this house?
Yeah. Hi.
Hi.
Is Trudy in?
Truda!
Oh my goodness!
Long time.
I haven't seen you in ages. Hi.
How are you?
His parents soon split. His mother took Cristiano back to Italy. His father found what he thought was an island paradise.
I don't know if you knew that, but he had the only bathtub, the only running water bathtub in the neighborhood, and everybody came to use it. Yeah.
I spent 2 or 3 summers here in this house.
Has it changed much?
Yeah, it's changed because there was a bed over there. When my father arrived, they had a dog. I think he's buried in the garden.
His father, Stefano, inherited a family fortune, but his true passion was his art. And Cortes Island was his muse. It's also the backdrop for his unsolved murder. So why don't you tell Truda what you've come here to do?
I put a reward to help to find out what was happened.
Oh, definitely.
Yeah.
Yes.
He's going to offer a $10,000 reward for any information that can help solve the crime, the mystery.
Yes, it has to be found out. This is ridiculous. He was such a gentle person, you know.
I liked your father very much.
Thank you. It's important.
Richard, were you here at the time of Stefano's murder?
Yeah.
What kind of impact did that have on the island?
It's one of those things that people talk about as though when everything changed.
What changed after his murder?
Well, it brings a specter of the outside world here. You find out you're much closer than you think to all the stuff we think we're leaving behind.
Right.
It'll find you.
Faced with a cold case, Cristiano hired a lawyer and went to Interpol to put pressure on the RCMP to reignite what seems like a stalled investigation. He hopes money will light a fire under his father's unsolved murder.
Gordon! Gordon!
Hi.
Ciao, Gordon.
Ciao, Cristiano.
Ciao. Nice to see you.
It's been 8 years, 9 years?
9 years.
9 years, and you know, nothing really has happened. So the RCMP isn't doing anything. And for for his son, for his friends, it's all very frustrating not to have any resolution.
Yeah.
People on the island have their own theories about the murder. Maybe drug dealers were involved. Another theory is that Stefano's family wealth was Mafia built, so his murder was a hit.
Ciao.
Oh my God.
Then we run into an old friend of Stefano's, who also comes from Italy.
Everyone's got a theory? Everybody's got a theory. I mean, every Canadian here thinks about the Mafia, right? You know.
I know. He thinks the Mafia theory is bullshit.
Yeah, well, me too.
No, I mean, come on.
Come on. Yeah, I know.
I know. Yeah. I mean, I should know.
Everywhere Cristiano goes, he's greeted as his father's son.
So good to see you.
Just came here to make pressure and to find out.
See what you can find out.
Yeah.
Help you.
I know.
Resolve this issue.
Yes, we will.
Has there been a lot of speculation on the island?
Well, I mean, it's a long time ago, and I don't really want to comment on it. I mean, all I know is nothing.
But do you think that somebody on the island does know?
I do not know. Mm-hmm. I do not know. And I mean, if I say something, I'm speculating.
Cristiano gets back to work putting up his reward posters. But off camera, we're told he won't find what he's looking for here.
I think he's changed the mood of the island.
How has the mood changed for you?
People are totally different.
In what way? Has the island lost its innocence?
Yeah, probably it was only a mirage, no? This innocence, but people were totally different. I feel it.
So where was your dad's place?
Over there. Is that bluff?
And that's where the murder took place?
Yeah.
Stefano lived there with his wife Abigail, a sprawling property with 2 cabins and a studio. After he died, she inherited the property and the Canadian side of Stefano's fortune. They married in Cuba in the late 1990s. Afterwards, Abigail and her young son Samuel moved to Cortes Island and soon became part of the fabric of the island community.
And this is Thunder Road.
This is Thunder Road?
Yeah.
This is where your dad's place was?
Yeah.
Up
here.
There. Your father's widow, Abigail? She must be here?
I guess so.
Do you want to see her?
I prefer not.
There's nothing you want to say to her?
No. It's complicated.
Seems there are bad memories around every corner. So Cristiano goes in search of some good ones, visiting one of his father's old girlfriends.
Here is Esther. Yeah. Hello. Ciao, Esther.
Hi, Cristiano.
Ciao,
Good to
ciao,
see you.
ciao.
How are you doing?
Fine, thank you very much.
I have a lot of good memories. We shared so many adventures together. It was beautiful, beautiful. I had a great time.
Let me ask you this. Did he have any enemies?
Not everybody liked him. Stefano was a very complex man. He had a complex personality. And many women would just fall in love with him because he was charming, he was irresistible. But that said, it was always, there was a part of him that, my God, this is difficult to say. It just, it had a control issue. Sometimes that would trigger like a, quarrel. Yeah, it was kind of old style also.
But were you ever afraid of him?
I wasn't afraid of him. No.
Esther, do you think there was someone on Cortes Island today who knows the truth?
Definitely.
Yeah?
Definitely. I think it must have been someone that knew the place where Stefano lived, because it was a very large property. And you had to know, the house where Stefano was sleeping, because there were different buildings.
Somebody who knew him.
Who knew him, yeah.
In Italy, we used to call it cold blood murder. So if you kill somebody in his bed when he's sleeping, it's another thing. It's much more evil.
It sounded like your dad, Stefano, was a complicated guy.
Yeah, he was. He was.
Some people say great things about him, some people not so great things about him.
Anyway.
Cristiano tells me he reconnected with his father only 3 months before the murder.
I cannot say he was the best father in the world. I cannot say. We had a very difficult relationship. Yeah. Anyway, that's the fact.
Late this afternoon, police could be seen at the property of Stefanos Savioli, a man islanders say was a popular island artist.
In the days after the murder, the RCMP sent its major crimes team here. Police divers searched the harbors for a murder weapon. They spent weeks collecting evidence, and then eventually, it all went silent.
Have they given you any idea whether they have a suspect, or there's a suspect on the island, off the island, in Italy, in Canada?
They didn't give me any idea about nothing, but they gave me a brochure.
A brochure?
Yeah, for helping the family victims of homicides, but it's a joke, okay?
We wanted to know more about the relationship between Stefano and his wife Abigail, and that took us to Bertha Jeffrey. She runs one of the few grocery stores on the island, a popular meeting place where Abigail once worked.
What impact did Stefano's murder have on the community?
Quite a bit. I think at first it drew the community together a bit because we were all concerned for Abby and what had happened and stuff.
Mm-hmm. And she admits she also wanted to believe the Italian Mafia theory.
We want it to be somebody from over there because we don't want it to be one of us.
Why not?
Because that would mean that someone is living amongst us that does that sort of thing. And it would be easier to believe it was somebody out there than somebody on our island.
Mm-hmm. And tell me about at the time of Stefano's murder, what do you remember about Abby?
What I remember?
Yeah, and the impact on Abby.
She did come here and stayed with me for a couple days. She was really upset. She was just broken up in like 4 months afterwards she was broken, right?
Well, let me ask you, because I know you and Abby had a good relationship.
Mhm.
Had she told you any concerns that she had about Stefano, in their relationship?
Never.
That was he controlling in terms of his relationship with Abby?
I think a little bit.
Mm-hmm.
hmm But, you know, he came from a generation that was more controlling. Abby seemed to be okay with it. I think it bothered her at times that he was controlling.
There's a good reason we're asking about Stefano's relationships. It's something that we learned last year. Before he met Abigail, Stefano lived with a woman named Carla Capelli and her young son.
Hello?
Oh, hi, is this Carla?
Yes?
Oh, hi, it's Harvey.
Our producer, who has a cabin on Cortes Island, was told to contact her.
I lived together with this man for 5 years,
Yes.
and I did not have a good experience. I got beaten. I'm not talking about the slap in the face. I got beaten.
Wow.
Okay?
She says she was threatened because she didn't make Stefano's lunch the way he wanted it.
The next 2 hours, I had an axe against my throat.
An axe?
Yes, he was completely out of himself. He was a monster, and he kept saying he had to kill me. I always tried to escape. I was a small child, and I couldn't make it. And I think that there is nothing more horrible than seeing your mother being beaten and not being able to do anything. I really hope that if it has been an act of rage, that they never find it out.
When we come back, who that young boy grew up to be and his current connection to Abigail.
Marco is Abigail's new partner.
I don't care that it happened, why it happened. I don't really care who did it.
And what the neighbors heard that night.
There was 2 people there on the property when it happened.
People are drawn by the sort of lawless nature of this place. I think it's the idea that we can govern ourselves in some small way, and that there is a sort of a moral law that's here that has to do with taking care of each other.
Did Stefanos Savioli violate the island's moral law? Why did someone kill him in his clifftop cabin in 2010? And if people here truly do take care of each other, why has the killer walked free?
When you spoke to him, did he tell you that he was concerned about his safety? He was
No,
worried?
never.
Stefano's son Cristiano has come back to Cortes with a $10,000 reward for information leading to an arrest in the case.
What's the last thing you remember saying to your dad?
He called me at about 9 o'clock.
This was the night he died?
Yeah.
Oh, I didn't know that.
Yeah, he said to me, Cristiano, please, do me a favor. Start to enjoy life. It's time to have fun, something like that.
And that's the last thing he pretty much said to you?
Yeah.
Hours after they spoke, Stefano was murdered in the loft where he slept. The cause of death has never been released, but it was clearly a brutal attack. Police found blood splatter on the rafters.
I didn't hear anything. I didn't see anything. He had his wallet on him still. Like nothing got stolen.
Leo Templar was living just down the way the night of the murder.
There was 2 people there on the property when it happened. Okay, Abigail's son and a local kid. Those 2 guys were in the cabin next door when he got killed. Somehow they discovered him, and they didn't hear anything.
Samuel, Stefano's stepson, was 16 at the time. He was living in the cabin next to the murder scene. His mother, Abigail, was off the island that night. We first contacted both Samuel and his friend last year. They wouldn't talk to us. Then we got this call from Abigail.
I'm really not happy about what you're doing, actually. Super unhappy, and that's not okay. Only the police can answer your question. You need to stop doing that.
Abigail's boyfriend, Marco Fish, followed up with unsettling emails to our producer. Do you think anyone cares about the past? I will oppose you, he said, with all means necessary and no regards. If I see you on Cortes and I find out you are researching, I will combat you. Try me. He fired off a shot by text, too. With all due respect to you and your family, next time, be smart.
We were certainly at the Fifth Estate told, don't stick your nose into what's happened on this island.
Mm-hmm. There's the people you're not allowed to talk about it, it's none of your business, you know, and then the other people who are saying, well, it's our community and there was a murder in our community and we want it solved, right?
The side of the community that says it's none of your business and we shouldn't talk about it, what is driving that?
It's all about secrecy and you don't want to tell anybody about what you know.
But that sounds like a cover-up to me.
Does to me too.
The RCMP spoke to Abigail, Samuel, and others right after the murder, but they wouldn't tell Cristiano where their investigation was heading.
I tried to understand if they have a main suspect or not.
And what did they tell you? Do they have a main suspect? Do you know?
Maybe, but I can't tell you.
Ah, that's what they said to you?
Yeah, always the same.
But that was in 2010. We wanted to know where the investigation stands now. The RCMP declined our repeated interview requests, so we took them to court. It took a year, but just as we arrived on Cortes Island, a judge ordered the RCMP to release these police documents.
Redacted, redacted, redacted. I see 4 witness statements. 911 call.
Samuel called 911 at 8:34 a.m., saying he discovered Stefano's lifeless body. The RCMP also discovered crime scene evidence at the cabin next door.
On a wicker-style chair near the back door, they have seized a piece of information. This is a piece of evidence that's found beside the crime scene where Samuel was sleeping that night.
But the documents reveal more. What appears to be a botched investigation. Search warrants so sloppy, a judge initially rejected them.
Blood, bodily fluids.
As well as items seized at the crime scene that went untested for years.
They had evidence with blood samples on it, and it wasn't tested for 3 years, neither for DNA, hair, or blood. And, to me, those are pivotal because it could contain the DNA of someone else at the scene other than the victim, which could lead to an arrest.
And then we see it.
Oh, Mark, this is incredible.
The RCMP stated they have a suspect. The name is withheld, but the documents point to the suspect being from Cortes Island. But in 2015, the investigation went dormant.
Like for several years, nothing was done.
The RCMP called it strategic inactivity. We pressed the investigator, Sergeant Kevin McLaughlin, for answers.
From the outside looking in, it almost gives us the impression that there's just been some flaws in the investigation.
Right, and I understand that. Honestly, I wish I could tell you more, but really have to keep our cards close to us. I just don't want to say anything that one day could come back and jeopardize judicial prosecution.
So this isn't a period of strategic inactivity. You are currently actively working on this case.
We're currently working on this case, yes.
So who is the RCMP's suspect? Well, it turns out years ago, Abigail told Bertha who the Mounties suspected.
I think when the police accused Samuel of it, that totally...
Okay, you're telling me something I don't know, so... Tell me about that. What did the police tell her?
They accused Samuel of doing it.
Her son?
Yeah. She was really offended by that, and I don't think she ever wanted to talk to the police or anything after that, right?
So we went back to Samuel. We emailed him saying, we plan to report that the RCMP consider you the suspect in the murder of Stefano. His response? How did you get my email address? So we followed up with a phone call.
Hello?
Samuel, hi, it's Mark Kelley calling from the Fifth Estate. How are you? He hung up. Samuel's mother, Abigail, has repeatedly refused our requests to talk to her. Her boyfriend, Marco Fish, says they've decided to move on.
I personally have no fucking clue who did it. I don't really care who did it. I don't care that it happened, why it happened. We don't talk about it, we don't live it. And I'm trying to have another life because the other one's finished, it's done.
Somebody told me the other day, we don't need the RCMP, we take care of our own.
Cortes is not a separate identity. We are part of Canada and we abide by the laws of Canada. Mm-hmm. And it's not okay to murder somebody, regardless of what has gone on or whatever. Mm-hmm. A cold-blooded murder like this is just not okay.
I came here to close this file. It's not easy to live with this file open.
For Cristiano Savioli, justice now seems as remote as this island. It was Cortes that brought him closer together with his father, and now his fight for justice is keeping them together.
I would like to come back one day with my son and show him Cortes Island as I knew Cortes Island.
We would return to Cortes Island weeks later, and in location after location, the reward posters Cristiano came from Italy to put up were torn down.